everyone, and welcome to my TED Talk. My name is Paulina Barnack, and I will be talking to you and sharing with you my Genius Hour project. First off, the question is, what is a Genius Hour project? A Genius Hour project allows students to explore something that they are passionate about or something they want to explore more creatively within a set period of time. The learning is up to the individual, so students get to choose what they learn and how they learn, whatever they choose to focus on. Now let me tell you a little bit about what I decided to do and what I spent my time doing for the duration of my Genius Hour. Cookies, cookies, and more cookies! To be more specific, that is, chocolate chip cookies. If you don't already know, well, I spend my time baking the perfect, most chewy chocolate chip cookies. I've always had a soft spot for chocolate chip cookies, and there are so many different types. Sometimes you get a hard and crunchy one, and sometimes you get one that's soft but crumbles a lot. What I was curious about in exploring more, and my overall Genius Hour question was, how does changing the ratio of ingredients in a chocolate chip cookie change the flavor, consistency, and overall appearance to make the perfect soft and chewy cookie? My goal for this project was to experiment with the endless amount of combinations to figure out what ingredients and how much of each make the chocolate chip cookie that I desire the most. And since I was going to be playing around with the ingredients, I started off by finding a simple chocolate chip cookie recipe online that I could follow and see where it takes me. I was ready to start baking, but the one ingredient that I was missing was all-purpose flour, so I decided to use what I had in my reach, which was potato flour, and see how the cookies turned out. But I had a lot of questions to consider before baking. How will my cookies turn out with potato flour instead of all-purpose? How will it affect the overall consistency and taste of my cookies? What will be the baking time? Should I cut down the baking time in order to make them softer as opposed to harder and crunchier? It was time to start baking, and the dough that I made was very runny, so when I rolled the dough into balls, they just collapsed and went flat when in the oven. The cookies had melted down, so again I was left with questions. Did I not put enough of one ingredient in my batch? Did I not just put enough of something else? My first batch came out very crunchy, and this was the complete opposite of what I was trying to go for. They were still edible, just not soft and chewy like I wanted. So I came to the conclusion that it must have been the potato flour, so for my next batch I tried to follow it accordingly. This time I baked my cookies following the recipe I chose, and I also baked a different batch only using brown sugar as opposed to both sugars. After baking both batches, I got the softness part of the soft and chewy cookie down, but they came out very thick. I must have rolled the dough too big on the pan, or I used way too much flour. Through this whole Genius Hour project, I did not realize how difficult it was making the perfect chocolate chip cookie. It was a long process and requires you to learn from your previous experiences in order to make a different outcome. My final batch of cookie dough was done carefully. I decided to use less flour and add a little water to make an even consistency. I also rolled the dough into smaller balls on the pan. However, I did not get the baking time right because at 10 minutes they did not look quite ready, but at 13 they looked perfect until they hardened and got too crunchy as opposed to more soft. It is evident that my baking experience was quite a roller coaster. I may not have been completely successful, but it was still an exceptional experience as it made me realize the importance of learning, no matter how difficult, exhausting, messy, and challenging it might have been. I have never baked homemade cookies before, and I learned that it takes a lot of research and dedication in making the type of cookie you desire. But what I enjoyed most is that I was in charge of my own learning. I was able to see where I went wrong and correct it in my future batches. It was a whole lot of trial and error. Although my cookies did not turn out the way I wanted them to, this Genius Hour experience has empowered me as both an educator and a learner, giving me the power to be in charge of my own learning. Now I challenge you to go out into the world and explore something you are passionate about. You will gain so much from it just as I did, because from what I know now, I can carry it to other bacon challenges I may face. Being able to learn through this project has really inspired me to try baking more. Through this, I am confident enough to do so now. I hope that you will give Genius Hour a try, and thank you for listening.